Welcome everyone to this week's China-US Women's Foundation Zoom session. It's so great to be together, especially as we start in the holiday spirit. With us today are three female executives from DMG Investments, a leading global real estate investment management and development firm in New York City. Our speakers today will share personal experiences from their career paths and offer unique insight on strategy and success. This discussion will focus on work-life balance, entrepreneurship, and real estate opportunities during the pandemic. We'll also be able to learn about our speakers' journey, both personally and professionally, and share stories from what they've experienced during the pandemic. This is part of a new series of the Women's Foundation, the Women Work Well series, in which we're going to profile executive women, understand their personal and professional journeys, educate women about professions, opportunities, and sectors, and try to help our audience not only earn a living, but also achieve their goals. So we're so pleased that our guest speakers will help us in that endeavor. With me today are Gloria Westgate, Taryn Byron, and Indira Basu. Rather than giving their bios, I'd like to hear from each of them. Maybe you could speak for a few minutes about who you are, what you're doing, and a little bit about how you came to be in the position you're in today. If it's okay with you, Taryn, why don't you get the ball rolling, and then we'll go from there. Thanks.
Sure. Hi, ladies. My name is Taryn Byron, and I am the president and broker of record for CJ Dalton, DMG's lead real estate consultant. I have been working with DMG now for about 2 years, representing their project at One Park as the sales director for the 204 unit condominium building in Cliffside Park, New Jersey. I have over 17 years of experience in the real estate industry in some form or fashion, and I'm excited to be here and speak with all you ladies today.
Thank you so much. Gloria, would you like to say a few words?
Sure, thank you. I'm the Chief Business Development Officer for Praxis Modular. It's a new venture through DMG. I've been with them for a couple of months now, and I've been in the custom modular construction industry for about a decade. And I'm real excited to be involved in this startup, and I look forward to hopefully providing some of the insights that have helped me grow professionally over the years and look at new opportunities.
Great, thank you, Gloria. And last but not least, Indira, why don't you say a few words?
Thank you, Leslie. So, hi everyone, nice to meet you on this platform today. My name is Indira Basu, and I am the HR manager for DMG Investments. So in DMG Investments, we do everything related to HR, starting from recruitment, onboarding, compensation, benefits, learning and development for our employees. So prior to DMG, I was working for a technology company where I have more than 6 years of work experience there. So it will be a great opportunity here to share my experience with all of you, and glad to know every one of you here. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. So to get the ball rolling, I'm wondering about the impact of the pandemic on real estate in general. Taryn, before we got started, you were talking a little bit about your experience at One Park, combining both living and work and social distance. So I was wondering if you could maybe paint a picture for us about how your work and the real estate industry has changed based on your experience this year.
So I'm sure everyone has very different varying experiences with the pandemic. Real estate is actually considered an essential service. So we worked through the entire pandemic, even when things initially shut down completely. My team was still working actively to sell homes and help people in need of finding new residences here at One Park. The opportunity to tour them through the building, we took a lot of precautions naturally and started a completely new pre-screening process and setting appointments virtually with residents and even doing virtual showings for potential residents. We also worked very quickly to do virtual tours of our property, and thankfully DMG was very thoughtful and technologically advanced in the even early onset of this. They snapped to action, and we developed a very strong plan to make sure that we could still sell homes virtually. Even if someone didn't even come to the building, we were still able to convey the lifestyle that One Park exudes to potential buyers. And we actually had a really great year of sales, surprisingly. Where others struggled, we were able to really pivot quickly. And I think that's something that this pandemic has taught us, is to pivot and is to change and embrace it.
Gloria, it sounds like you do more of like business negotiations and interaction. How did this year change for you?
No travel. Basically, I've had to meet all my clients virtually. So there's been really no in-person meetings. So Zoom has become my new best friend. And so it's a little different because instead of having multiple appointments to negotiate a transaction, you're doing things virtually. Now, I will say from a time management standpoint, it has been great because I'm able to do more appointments in a day, or cold call, I wouldn't say cold calls, but interactions with clients. So I've really been able to optimize my 10-hour workday to really be much more productive.
And finally, Indira, you are handling, it sounds like, more of the human resources side of things. How has that role changed for you this year?
So yeah, this year was really different, and it had been different than other years. But things back in March was totally different. It looked like it was when it all started. As Taryn mentioned, we were all working, right? Because it's a construction, a major part, we have construction employees. We have employees who are in property management. So our industry, our business was open. So my role was very crucial at that time to ensure that all our employees are safe. And the main thing that I focused on was communication, to ensure that our employees were informed what's going on. And at the same time, we rolled out new policies to ensure for our employee safety. We had to follow all the state mandates, federal mandates. So what kept me going at that time was learning. Every day we were learning new things which we did not know what was like, which we are totally new to us. So so that I would like to say all our we kind of involved our employees in the journey, made sure what is working for them, what is not working for them. work from home. We had to start that right away. It was like on a Friday, we decided we're just going to go home. It was, I think, 13th March, Friday. And yeah, we just decided, hey, we are not coming to office from Monday. So we had to make sure everybody has the technology. And so DMG was really good about that to make sure that employees are well equipped at home so that they can work from home or like wherever they're working from and from the properties. And we have all the supplies to ensure that there was a lot of scarcity of supplies at that point. So yeah, we took care of all that and wanted to make, because our top priority was employee safety at that point. So yeah, it was a different year.
Well, congratulations that you three have made it to this point to tell the story. And Taryn, tell us a little bit about the experience of then working with people who are looking to, come to One Park. They must be traumatized. They must have a new set of considerations that are new. What was that like this year?
So it was a very interesting year. As Indira mentioned, DMG was really very quick to respond to the pandemic. And one of the initiatives that we took very early on was, in addition to rolling out proper PPE for all of our sales agents, we also offered that type of protection for potential buyers and existing residents because the building is occupied. So we had to take into consideration when doing in-person tours, not only the health and safety of the agents, the buyers, but the existing staff and residents of the building, because this is their home. So we had to be extremely respectful and cautious in that respect. We switched over to have the sales gallery be by appointment. And one of the precautionary measures that we put into place was that any potential buyer coming into the building had to sign off on a waiver and acknowledgement that they did not have any symptoms of COVID, haven't traveled out of the country. And we put together those additional layers of security. Also, we did have temperature checks before we did allow people to come into the building. There is a hand sanitizing station as soon as they came in. All participants to a tour had to agree to wear face masks and socially distance. We changed even our kind of tour progress to include a completely virtual, no contact tour, which is very interesting because we had QR codes to scan for floor plans, for different multimedia, and it was really a team effort that was developed. And we were very creative in putting those initiatives together so that we did keep everyone's health and safety in mind.
Sounds great. And Gloria, how about now in terms of what you see going forward? Where do you see the changes going in, say, the next 6 months? Are you basically, the way you do business is Zoom? Are you looking to get back to in-person meetings, or do you think that is maybe something of the past?
I think it's going to be a hybrid because now you're realizing the efficiencies of not having to travel across the country to meet with a prospective client. But there's still value in meeting with a group of clients, say an architectural firm, and doing a lunch and learn. And there's still value in doing trade shows, and there's still value in networking in person. So you still need to have that personal contact, but I think it's not going to be as much as there was prior to the pandemic.
And Indira, in terms of hiring practices, and if people are looking to maybe get into real estate, what are your thoughts about opportunities for people trying to work in this industry?
So, well, opportunities are immense in real estate, and especially for women. I would say like what had been previously real estate was considered more like a man-dominated industry, but until recently, when you look at all the recent data, it's like the female real estate agents have outnumbered the male, and the ratio I think is 2:1. So yeah, and I would say that's a lot of opportunities, and especially in DMG, I would like to say during the pandemic, we have actually hired a lot of employees, we kept on our hiring process on, and our uh, team is very diverse, starting from the executive level and also our lower management, lower employee levels. If you see across the company, it's very diverse team. So there are a lot of opportunities in real estate. And now that firms have become like, have an inclusive work culture that values like diversity and like work-life balance, it's kind of really encouraging more women to take up profession. So I think, yeah, it's immense.
Leslie, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Taryn, maybe you could take us a little bit on your journey to where you are today. How did you become a real estate executive? What is the path? You know, your particular story, plus any suggestions.
Well, I want to say whatever you see for yourself and you see point A to point B, that's not how it goes. And I'm sure every person realizes that when they go and look back in their career, that the path is never linear. You always have twists and turns all about, but my one piece of advice for anyone in looking to get into real estate is be open and curb the ego. You know, as a female in real estate working with developers, I actually started off as an architecture major in college, and my father owned a real estate office with my uncle. So I took it up as a side gig in college to pay the bills, to be a real estate agent on the weekends and host open houses. I kind of shifted my architecture degree to a business management degree, and then started working for custom home developers out in California. So I was the only woman in a sea of men, and really learned to get a thick skin very, very quickly. And that has been something that's actually benefited me. I feel very comfortable being able to hang with the guys and hold my own, especially in a very male-dominated area of the business. Residential single-family home sales, that can be something that is very female-dominated, but when you start to get into large-scale multifamily development, it tends to be a boys' club. So you really have to know your stuff, and I feel like as a woman, it's kind of intimidating walking into a room and having to almost prove yourself time and time again. But then after a while, you get the reputation of, oh, she knows what she's talking about. She's not just a pretty face or here to entertain us or giggle and laugh at our jokes. This girl knows what she's doing. So that's taken a while. It takes many years to build a reputation, and it takes many years to earn the respect of other professionals, because respect is earned, it's not just given. And you have to work very hard to maintain that level of respect and within your industry. So that's something that I've worked towards. I know I look very young, but I have a lot more experience than my age. So it's been something that I've worked very long and very hard for. I'm a single mom too, so this pandemic has really put things to the test for me, because in addition to being a professional, I have a special needs child, so I'm a special needs homeschool teacher. I do speech therapy, occupational therapy, ABA therapy for my son, and am in a position, gratefully, to have additional help through an in-home caregiver who comes to help me out. And it's been a challenge, but I am so grateful for it because it's taught me so much about not only myself as a professional, but myself as a mother. And I know it's a really challenging time for so many, but I think I've really learned so much through this very short period of time and grown so much professionally.
Well, I think you do fit the category of superwoman. I think your gold medal for that is well deserved. Gloria, that's a hard act to follow. But
I know. I'm sitting there like, well.
Come on, we're all in this together,
yeah,
and it's women supporting women. Nobody's overshadowing anyone.
Yes, so Gloria, but every woman counts, and every woman's journey is a unique one, full of resilience and grit.
Mm-hmm.
So share with us a little bit about your career path.
Well, it's had, to quote Taryn, it's had lots of twists and turns. You know, if you had asked me, 20 years ago, would I be selling modular buildings? I would have said no. If you had asked me 30 years ago, if you said I was going to have a sales career, I would have said no. I went on the path of pre-med, and that just did not work out with my marriage at the time. So I made some bad choices. Instead of staying focused on what would have allowed me to progress and grow in a particular field, actually was a blessing in disguise. So I had studied, I went on to get a master's degree from Hopkins in biotechnology, and then a concentration in bioinformatics. But I stayed in sales because I truly enjoyed it. And I was doing commercial office furniture. So I had grown in that industry, learned it inside and out, became a sales manager. And the opportunity presented itself to go into custom modular buildings. And I had a headhunter just bugging the daylights out of me for 6 months straight. Talk about persistence. She said, no, you're perfect for this. I'm like, I don't want to do construction trailers. She's like, no, this is whole buildings done modularly, custom. And she's like, you've already done the interiors. It's just time to put the exterior cladding on it, have it built in a factory and set up on site. So that piqued my interest. So I gave it a chance and went to William Scotsman, and pictured myself living in Baltimore, selling modular buildings up and down the East Coast. And next thing I know, they said, you're going out to Pittsburgh. So, 5 years ago, I moved out to Pittsburgh and just stayed within the industry and enjoyed it. There was another opportunity for a company that I worked at previous to this one that allowed me to stay in Pittsburgh, but this opportunity was a golden opportunity. And I took the risk, and now I'm in New Jersey and New York, working with Praxis on a startup company to develop a state-of-the-art product and a factory. So and build the business from the ground up. So, and during the pandemic, it's even harder because there's nothing to show people. So I have to use my good looks and charm for selling now.
Which are abundant, clearly. So, of course, again, what a journey you've taken, and, you're on it. And we, of course, look forward to hearing about it as the months go on, because it is a new world we're living in.
Mhm.
Indira, just tell us a little bit about your career path. It's a little shorter, but we want to hear it.
Okay, sure. So I basically, so before, like I said, I moved from India with my husband in 2010, and then I was here in this market. So penetrating the market was difficult at that point because I did my master's and everything in India. But then I was persistent in getting and doing what I really want to do. I wanted to be in human resources. So I got rejected a lot because I didn't have a US degree, US certification. But then I started from internship, then took small steps, and I landed up global technology company. So I worked there for 6 years, and that was a great opportunity. I kind of learned a lot. I grew with the company, and when I was right at the point when I was thinking of making my next career move, I was reached by then this opportunity came up at DMG. And that brings me here. Like, I came to the interview, I spoke with the executives, and I really liked talking to them, their vision, how they see the company grow with its people. So I was like, yeah, that's where I want to be. So it's been like 1.5 years. I am in DMG, and I have my family, my husband. I have 2 little daughters. They are 2 and 4. They are growing. So pandemic has taught me now, like, not just like employees. I have to think about my employees as well. And then my home, I was like, with no help at that whole last 6-8 months, it was hard. But then I was able to get the right support from my family and help outside and from the office, and tried to be focused on what I was doing. So it was a good learning path, but yeah, definitely looking for like a better world.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So my final question before we open up to the audience to start the conversation, because we do want to help other women find employment, find their passion in work. What advice do each of you have for women who might want to start a career in real estate or some aspect of real estate? Of course, if they come to me, I hope I can send resumes to you, Indira, if they're interested. But what advice do you have for your younger selves?
So do you want me to say first?
Yeah, you can say first, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, sure. So, well, let's say it's a good question. Women are generally they have a greater level of empathy, persistence. They are considered like more sensitive and patient towards clients' need, and therefore that leads to a higher client satisfaction ratio. So that being said, like many large development groups and even real estate focused lending institutions, even private equity firms, they like consciously are placing women in leadership positions due to the distinctive skills that women can bring to the table, that not only expands the firm's vision, but also it gives a better on the ground result. So I think the future of women in real estate is really exceedingly bright and transformational. So being said that, the first like I would like to give 3 advices to my, like, whoever are coming up and they want to choose their profession, or in real estate, or in whichever profession they want to be in. Just the first would be, don't be hard on yourself. Like, you can't do everything and it won't be all perfect. So just enjoy your journey, take time for yourself, and that will be like, you can do so much more if you just like let things fall in its place. The second advice would be, like, don't stop learning, like keep learning, because you always have to learn. Don't get into the trap that you have learned all you need to know in your college. So because as you grow, you have to learn about the industry, your company, your competitor. So learning is something that will make you stand out and keep your brain active, help you make changes and adapt to it. And finally, a very important advice that I want to give to all the upcoming professionals is finding a good mentor is really important. Somebody who has been through the journey, women in a leadership platform who are like, and you can find that in through LinkedIn, through various forums like this. So reach out to those women, those who are in leadership position right now. They will be able to guide you, give you advice, and that is going to really help you grow in your career.
Well, thank you so much. That resonates, I think, in any career. So those are really great words of wisdom. Taryn, what are your thoughts?
I was hoping you were going to pick me because I don't know how I'm going to follow up Indira
I know,
now.
that's
Everything, honestly, one of the things that I think is so important in any career too is to be open-minded and talk to people. Situations like this and expanding knowledge and your viewpoint and understanding of different aspects of any career you're getting into are very, very important. There are so many different kind of roles, even within the real estate industry. It's not, as you see today, just limited to sales and marketing. Real estate is a very broad industry. So whatever you're going to do, go full force into it. Don't go halfway. You have to dive right in and be committed and know that it's not going to happen overnight. As I mentioned, I've been doing this for 17 years. So this is not something that I started yesterday and got to be where I am today. We've all expanded upon our kind of experience and growth through many, many years of trials and tribulations. And especially as a woman and a mother, I didn't work for quite some time. So my career took a little bit of a back seat for my family, and know that's okay. Be able to be patient with the process, but still have your goals and what you want to achieve for yourself and your career as a woman there. Don't give up everything of yourself for everyone else, because I think we do that very often.
So true. That really, that work-life balance, I still don't know how one does it, and you just try every day to balance it. Gloria, now, what are your thoughts? It sounds like, you ended up in a far different place than you started, and yet it's still a very fascinating job. What are your thoughts? Mine
is just, through life is just to be persistent and don't get discouraged, as my mom said. My mom says, the right opportunity is out there. You're going to have to do the stepping stones, pay your dues, so to speak, but you're going to grow. And to reference what Indira said, education is important. Never stop learning. I took a business class from Harvard on negotiation mastery because it's changed. The business changes over time. It evolves. Sales has evolved, just to, where you would go and knock on doors and cold call, and there was fax machines and everything else. Not to really date myself, but you have to keep up with technology. You have to keep your mind active. Networking is crucial to being successful. You're never going to know where you're going to meet somebody that may have the next opportunity for you. And networking groups for women in real estate, two good ones, CREW, which is Commercial Real Estate Women, and then there's WREN, W-R-E-N, which is Women's Real Estate Network. Both very good organizations. They have chapters throughout the United States. Just realize that it's just going to take time. Nothing happens overnight.
And also, I think we all agree, who could believe the rate of change that we've experienced? You know, how virtual everything has become so quickly. I don't think I ever expected even imagined it. So I think you're right. You know, let's meet again in 6 months, and I'm sure we're going to tell a very different story, hopefully a hopeful one. I'd like to open it up to the audience now for questions and comments.
I have a question for Gloria.
Yes.
Gloria, could you tell us a little bit more about modular when you use that term? What does it mean in real estate?
So modular construction, there's a bunch of different terms. It could be volumetric, but basically what you're doing, instead of putting together a building on site conventionally, where you have all the little parts and pieces coming in, your 2x4s, your steel beams and girders and everything coming together at the site in different shipments. What it's doing is it's all being delivered to a factory, and it's assembled by tradesmen in a factory to the same standards as it would be if it was built on site, probably better because it's not exposed to the elements. And that building is put together like Legos. So you're assembling little Legos in the factory, and then you're delivering them to site, and they're up to 95% complete. And then delivering them to site and connecting them. There's a specific order sequence and everything else associated with them, but it's a much quicker, cleaner process than doing it conventionally. And it also helps because there's a huge labor shortage now. You know, you can save 6 to 8 months in construction time by building in the factory. And while that's being done, all the site work to get the building ready is being done. So it's a concurrent process.
Oh, interesting. Thank you.
So I was interested in knowing, I mean, you know, this question of mentorship, if we flip it, have any of the three of you had an experience being a mentor? And if that's happened, how did it come about? Did you approach the person? Did the person approach you? You know, did it just come about kind of naturally? So thank you.
So about mentorship program, I can say in the last organization I was working, it was a first global technology company. So we did have a mentorship program where we gave out forms to all the employees, and we asked them to choose like who they want to be their next mentor. And so it was a 40,000 employees company, and global. So we were able to connect the employee with the mentor and the mentee. They both got connected, and then we had a plan for them, like this is what they're going to discuss, this is how frequently they're going to meet, and they're going to talk about objectives of what they want to achieve through the relationship. So it really worked out well, especially for employees who were getting into the workplace, for interns also, when they were able to choose their mentor. We led as the mentor, reach out to the employees who want to be the mentors, and then we get the list, and then they chose their mentor. I think there are a lot of forums where you can get like where they just do mentorship, like Score is one. That's like, I think, a free platform where they will connect you mentor, and there are many such other platforms which are open to the like general public and doesn't have to be a company specific, and you can just go in, put your interest, which areas you are interested in, and they will connect you with a mentor, and you can continue the relationship with that person. And you can also randomly reach through LinkedIn, because all this organization, they have a very solid mentor program. So they're very aware of this program, and they will be definitely interested to guide someone through, especially if it's a women in a leadership program. It really resonates really well among all the working professionals.
I have a question for Taryn. Thank you, Indira. Your company is a real estate investment company, right? With COVID and everything has changed. Is real estate still a good industry to invest in?
So real estate is, in my opinion, is always a great investment. It's a longer term investment than other types of investments. So you have to understand that when you do go into purchasing real estate. If you look even where the industry is and prices are today versus 10 years ago, say, you always hear those age-old stories of, man, I should have bought that because look, 10 years ago, I could have got this house for this price on this block. Mm-hmm. So real estate to me is not necessarily timing the market, but it's your time in the market. If you are going to be in the real estate space as an investment, you have to understand going into it that it's a bit more of a long-term commitment. There tends to be a lot less volatility in real estate. That's why a lot of people do diversify their portfolios and have a real estate component to it. You look at the stock market and things are flying everywhere and people get very nervous. But real estate, on the other hand, it's a bit slower, a little bit more for those of us who maybe don't have the wherewithal to be in a volatile market like the stock market. But in general, right now, if you do have the capital to invest in real estate, mortgage rates are so incredibly low. It really is very interesting to me when I have a conversation with a buyer and they are balking at a 2.75 interest rate, because if you even look at where interest rates were 5 years ago, you're talking about everyone refining right now because they're pretty much giving you a mortgage for free. So real estate from an investment standpoint is a really amazing opportunity if you can get into that space, especially in the multifamily sector. But again, it's not timing the market, it's your time in the market.
I have a question for Taryn or all three of you. Could you talk a little bit more about the exodus this past year since COVID of people leaving the city for New Jersey suburbs? I certainly see that houses around me, and I live in Morris County, they're being snapped up like crazy, and it's people that are escaping. And so, my thoughts are maybe I need to sell my house this spring. So kind of, if you can talk about what's happened and what your forecast is for the spring.
Sure. So it's going to be a very interesting spring market, in my opinion. Yes, there has been a shift from people from cities to the suburbs. What I was mentioning earlier was it will be very interesting to see what happens when people begin to return to having to report to an office on a daily basis. Right now, we're still working within this bubble effectively of COVID. So we have this very strange situation happening where people are able to be a little more fluid when they have to report to their office. So while there has been this seemingly exodus from Manhattan, there are still very many people who are entering into that market because they've wanted to be in that market for a long time and maybe not necessarily had the ability to afford it. So there has been a bit of a soften in that urban market, but it's created an opportunity for people who actually do want to still remain there or need to remain there. And it'll be very interesting, again, to see how the overall construction industry changes in response to all of these changes to our daily life. One of the things we were also mentioning before is this live work opportunity. A lot more people are working from home and needing outdoor space. And I think that's tended to kind of lend itself to that temporary kind of vacation from Manhattan. But if you look at even historically, I'll bring it up because it's just a very kind of simple comparison to make, not even, you know, on the same level. But after 9/11, everyone thought the Manhattan real estate market was going to crash and would never come back. Who would ever want to live in the city after that tragic event happened? But look at what happened to real estate prices shortly thereafter. Investors are smart. So if there's a softening in an area, investors and developers are going to work counter-cyclical to the market and seize those opportunities. So it's going to be very, very interesting, the forecast out to what happens in the real estate market. And I'm very excited to see it.
Okay, thank you.
Gloria, do you have any thoughts on that subject, the future, what are the trends to be looking out for?
Yes, there's a lot of multifamily and affordable housing being built. And it's all under the live work paradigm. Walkable cities or areas that everybody is able to get to the store, their school, everything work within 15 minutes. So there's a lot of development that is still out there for that paradigm. And I'm seeing lots of projects coming up where there's just not enough housing. There's still a great deal of demand. A lot of buildings age out and it's not cost effective to renovate them. They need to be replaced. So, but yeah, I see no slowdown, to be honest.
So Gloria, I had a question also about modular response to the way things are changing. How quickly can the modular industry or unit respond to a change in demand or a lifestyle alteration such as we're seeing now in this COVID-19 period? Thanks.
Very easily. There's flexibility to deliver the units pretty much anywhere, unless there's a limitation in the last mile where a modular building couldn't make the turn. But it's ideal for infills. It's great for community developments. So it just allows an investor to get a quicker delivery time to market. And it's important to be the first one on the market. You don't want to be the last one, but you want to get there right when there's the demand. And modular allows you to do that.
I think one of the beautiful things about what Gloria does too is, you know, given, I'm sure everyone is aware of the situations with natural disasters happening globally. Modular is also an incredible opportunity for emergency housing for people in other areas where you have an area that may have been completely devastated by a natural disaster. You're able to very quickly build and put together permanent structures for people to get emergency housing after their homes have been destroyed.
Absolutely. You're definitely able to cut the lead time down and get them out of tents or hotels and give them a sense of normalcy much quicker.
Taryn, Taryn, do you feel that you're saying like this shift went to the suburbs and that they may come back into New York City? Do you feel that there's going to be more investment into New York City? Is that what you're stating?
Yes, from my experience in the industry, when there is something like a softening in the market, that's when developers jump on deals. That's when they are going to purchase. Because if you look at the timelines for a new development, you're not purchasing land and then selling homes the next day. They're purchasing land today for a, you know, anywhere from 3 to 5 year projection out. So in 5 years, it'll be very interesting to see what those acquisitions that happen today transpire to.
Are there any other questions? Any comments? Certainly, from my perspective, you know, we titled this talk Smart Living, and certainly the three ladies who are our guests, you know, clearly not only your take on what we've been experiencing has really been very therapeutic for me, because you think like the sky is falling and you realize actually, no, we will still continue to have homes and real estate will endure. So it's good. It's also good for us to keep this conversation going, and I hope you will come back on a regular basis and we can organize events. Hopefully next year we can organize an event at One Park and get together and talk about smart living, but in person. Would you be interested in that?
Absolutely. I'm much more fun in person.
Okay, so we will pencil that in and we'll invite our audience to join us as well. So I want to let everyone know the China U.S. Women's Foundation is having its annual holiday party next Thursday at 6 o'clock, and you are all cordially invited. Next year we may have it at One Park, but this year will be virtual. So I want to thank everyone. I want everyone to be safe and sound over the holiday season, and hope to see many of you again back here, maybe even next week. And thanks again to our guests. You really have been delightful, and we appreciate your insights.
Thank you so much for having us, and
Thank you
happy
very
holidays
much.
to everyone and their families and loved ones.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy
Thank you.
holidays. Thank
Happy
you.
holidays.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.